We're here today in the Deep Space Habitat mock-up with Sarah Shull, who is the Deputy Project Manager for the Logistics Reduction and Repurposing group with the Advanced Exploration Project that you mentioned. And she's got a couple of projects she's going to show us, starting out with some cargo bags. Tell us, I guess let's back up a little bit though and say, what is Logistics Reduction and Repurposing?
So Logistics Reduction Repurposing is a AES project, as you mentioned, the Advanced Exploration System. We like to say it's kind of NASA's Reduce, Reuse, Recycle project, the green mentality. And so what we're looking at is items that you fly for logistical needs and trash as well. What can you do with it after it served their primary purpose? So is there a secondary purpose? You paid a lot of money and spent a lot of effort to fly this stuff to space, and what can you use it for as a secondary purpose?
Right, and I know that's one thing that if you watch NASA TV very often at all, you see the astronauts unloading things that have come up on progress and then repacking it with trash, and it's just, I know, kind of an ongoing problem of what to do with all the trash that
so
the space station makes.
Yeah, we're looking at what we can do to help with that for the next, deep space missions.
Right, and it's complicated when you go further, right?
Yes. Yeah, it gets even more complicated. We don't envision having quite as many resupply missions, so your capability to both bring supplies up and take trash away will be limited.
Okay. Well, so I think you've got one of the projects that you've been working on this year here to show us, one of the cargo bags?
Yeah, so what this is, on station they use what are called cargo transfer bags, CTBs. You've probably seen them in the video and photos. They're white, actually, on station, or white Nomex. Same dimensions. This is the same dimensions as a single one. So what we've done is look at this and say, we envision for a crew of 4 on a year mission, you may need 150 approximately of these bags just to carry all the supplies. So
and
what
these
can you
be full of clothes or food or
clothes, food,
equipment, even?
Equipment, yeah, anything. And they actually do come in various sizes. This is the most common size.
Okay.
So we looked at how could you redesign this bag such that you could have a secondary purpose. So this is our MCTB, modified or multi-purpose, actually, cargo transfer bag. And I'll show you, this is it in its bag configuration. And then what it can do, if you'll hold that, is it actually unfolds into a rectangle of fabric. So we designed it so that it makes a perfect rectangle, and then you can repurpose this rectangle.
Right, and I guess the shape is important. Usually when you unfold a box, it doesn't make a rectangle.
Right. If you look at when we brainstormed how to unfold it, we came up with a lot of more like T shapes or cross shape, and that is awkward to try to repurpose. So we thought, okay, how can we make it? And working with our soft goods lab here at JSC, we came up with this concept.
Okay. And so this unfolds into this, and then what do you do with it once it is a rectangle?
So we actually, as a team, brainstormed use cases for it, and we came up with about 50 use cases. Some were very obvious, and those are some of the ones we demonstrated here in the Deep Space Hab. Things like partitions. You can actually see behind us, there's 2 of these bags.
You're looking actually into the hygiene module on the Deep Space Habitat. And we've had people living here for several days at a time over a course of different tests over the past few years. And behind us is basically the restroom, and you want a little privacy in there, so
I would think so.
Basically made some curtains.
Yeah, so what we did is we gave the crew the bags in the bag configuration that Brandy has.
The full of things, probably?
Packed with, toilet paper and hand soap and stuff, and said, you need to unpack it on your first day and then unfold them, and they were given procedures, and then join a couple together and make this partition. So you can see behind us there's actually 2, they're zipped end to end. So the bags have zippers along the edge as well as some snaps, so you can join them, short end to short end or long end to long end and make a chain of these.
Okay.
And so that's what they were able to use, and they used them as their privacy partitions during the Deep Space Hab testing. And we asked the crew some feedback, and we got good feedback. They liked it.
So that was a successful test then?
Very successful.
What are some of the other uses y'all came up with?
They ranged quite wildly. So we had some, pretty innovative ones. You could, in desperation, use this as clothing, probably. Not sure we want to baseline that concept, but some of the more practical ones, sleeping bags. You could probably join several of these and make a sleeping bag, and then just swap out maybe the liner like we currently do on station.
And I guess if nothing else, if you're able to unfold it and make it flat, if you've got 150 of them, just that much is probably a good thing rather than having to stack them, which takes up a lot more room.
Yeah, they're squishable like that, but definitely flat. Like when we store them in our lab, we store them flat because it takes up a lot less space. And you could even just use them for towels, rags, stuff like that. At least it's a secondary use.
Okay. Well, what's kind of the next step for your project then?
So now we're looking at, so we've got the crew feedback, so we'll look to see if there's any modifications we need to make to the bag from that feedback. We're also hoping that we eventually get to fly this to station as a test. So we're kind of asking around and looking for a compelling use case on station. We've identified a few potential use cases where the crew has said, oh, we really could use a partition here or not. So we are looking more into that.
Okay.
So hopefully.
So more to come on that then.
Right. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us, Sarah. And we're going to be back in a few minutes to talk about another of the projects that she's been working on to melt down some trash and make that usable as well. So we'll be back in just a bit, but for now, back to Pat in the Mission Control Center. Thanks.